Look at what I found. And it's not even broken.
The night my niece snapped my bracelet in front of the whole family, she laughed and called it flea market trash. By midnight, I had canceled the $60,000 tuition payment that was supposed to make her dreams come true. But the broken clasp was only the beginning. Hidden inside that bracelet was proof that my own sister had been lying to me for years. Hello, my name is Claire Bennett. I am 47 years old, and until that Sunday night, I believed being the quiet one in a family meant being the strong one. I was wrong. Sometimes silence is not strength. Sometimes it is simply permission for other people to keep hurting you. The dinner happened at my parents' old house in Westport, Connecticut. After our father died, my older sister, Vanessa, bought out my share and turned the place into the kind of home that looked perfect in holiday photographs. The dining room had cream-colored walls, a crystal chandelier, and a table long enough for 14 people. Every plate matched. Every napkin was folded into a silver ring. Nothing in Vanessa's life was allowed to look ordinary. That included her daughter, Lily. Lily was 18, beautiful, and talented. She had been playing violin since she was 4. At 12, she performed with the youth orchestra at Lincoln Center. At 16, she won a statewide competition. That spring, she had been accepted into the prestigious Halcyon Conservatory of Music in Boston. Tuition, housing, and fees for the first year came to a little over $60,000. Vanessa told everyone she and her husband, Mark, had it covered. They did not. I did. 3 months before the family dinner, Vanessa had come to my apartment in Manhattan without warning. She sat on my sofa, took my hands, and cried. Lily cannot lose this opportunity, she said. She has worked her whole life for it. Mark's real estate business had suffered. Their home equity line was frozen. Vanessa claimed they would be able to repay me within 2 years, but she begged me not to tell Lily. She is already under so much pressure, Vanessa said. Let her believe her parents can still take care of her. I should have asked more questions. Instead, I agreed. I had no children of my own. My engagement had ended when I was 36, and I never tried again. For years, I had treated Lily like the daughter I might have had. I attended recitals, paid for summer music camps, and sat through endless school concerts in overheated auditoriums. I loved her, so I wired the first tuition installment into an education trust administered by the conservatory. The final authorization was scheduled for Monday morning. The day before that payment, I arrived at Vanessa's house carrying a bottle of wine and wearing my mother's bracelet. It was not flashy. It was a narrow Art Deco bracelet made of platinum, with tiny emeralds arranged between old-cut diamonds. My mother gave it to me 2 weeks before she died. This belongs with the daughter who remembers what things mean, she had whispered. I never knew exactly what she meant by that. Vanessa had inherited our mother's larger diamond pieces. I received the bracelet, several handwritten recipe cards, and a cedar box filled with family photographs. I did not complain. The bracelet mattered more to me than anything in a safe deposit box. At dinner, Vanessa noticed it immediately. Her eyes stayed on my wrist for half a second too long. You still wear that old thing? She asked. Sometimes. She smiled, but there was something sharp beneath it. Lily was sitting beside me, scrolling through her phone while the adults talked. Halfway through dinner, she suddenly reached across and grabbed my wrist. Is this the bracelet? She asked. Before I could answer, she pulled it toward her. Lily, be careful. She twisted my wrist and examined the stones beneath the chandelier. Then she laughed. Mom says it came from a flea market. The table went quiet. Vanessa lifted her wineglass and looked away. I felt heat rise into my face. Your grandmother gave it to me. Sir, Lily said. But these are probably glass. She tugged at the clasp. Please give it back. Instead, she tried to pull it over my hand. The bracelet caught against my knuckles. I heard a small metallic snap. The bracelet fell onto Vanessa's white plate. One emerald struck the rim and rolled across the table. Lily stared at it for a moment. Then she laughed again. See? Cheap. No one corrected her. Mark studied his dinner. My Aunt Judith pressed her lips together. Vanessa finally said, Claire, do not make a scene. Lily didn't mean anything. I looked at my sister. She grabbed it after you told her it was worthless. Vanessa gave a tired sigh, as if I were a child demanding attention. I said it looked like something from a flea market. There is a difference. Lily pushed back her chair. Why are you being so dramatic? I'll buy you another one. With whose money? I asked quietly. Her face changed, only for a second. But I saw it. Vanessa saw it too. That is enough, my sister said. I picked up the broken pieces, including the emerald that had rolled beside the breadbasket. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady. Yes, I said. It is. I left before dessert. During the train ride back to Manhattan, Vanessa sent me 6 messages. The first said Lily was young. The second said I had embarrassed her. The third reminded me that the tuition deadline was Monday. The fourth said, "Do not punish Lily for a misunderstanding." The fifth said, "You promised." The sixth was the one that changed everything. Mom wanted Lily to have that bracelet anyway. You know she did. I read that sentence 3 times. Our mother had never said such a thing to me. In fact, she had placed the bracelet into my hand herself. When I reached my apartment, I put the broken bracelet beneath my desk lamp. The clasp had separated from a hollow rectangular piece I had always assumed was decorative. Something pale was wedged inside it. At first, I thought it was old glue. I used a sewing needle to lift the edge. A tiny strip of folded paper slid onto my desk. My mother's handwriting covered both sides. "Claire, if Vanessa ever claims I gave this bracelet to her or to Lily, she is lying. The bracelet is yours. More importantly, ask Mr. Sloan for file 11B. Do not confront your sister until you see it. Love." Mom, I stopped breathing. Mr. Sloan had been our parents' estate attorney. He was in his 70s now and worked only 3 days a week. Below the message was a date. My mother had written it 8 days before she died. I called Vanessa. She answered immediately. "Thank God," she said. "Listen, Lily is upset, and I think we all need to calm down. Why did you say Mom wanted Lily to have the bracelet?" Silence. Then Vanessa laughed softly. "Because she did." "When did she tell you?" "Near the end." "Which day?" "Claire, are you interrogating me?" "I'm asking a simple question." Her voice hardened. Mum was medicated. She said many things. "You cannot possibly remember every conversation." "I remember the conversation when she gave it to me." "Then keep your precious little bracelet. Just don't destroy Lily's future over a broken clasp." There it was. Not an apology, not concern, a command wrapped in guilt. "Good night, Vanessa." I ended the call and opened my laptop. The Education Trust required a final confirmation from me before the funds could be released. I clicked Withhold Authorization. A warning appeared. "This action will cancel the pending payment." I thought about Lily's laugh. I thought about Vanessa teaching her daughter that cruelty carried no cost. Then I thought about my mother hiding a message inside a bracelet because she had been afraid to speak openly. At 11:43 p.m., the payment was canceled. At 7:02 the next morning, Vanessa called. I let it ring. At 7:05, Lily called. I answered. "What did you do?" she screamed. "No hello, no apology. I stopped my money from being transferred." "You can't do that?" "I just did. My registration portal says the funding guarantee was withdrawn. I'll lose my place." "Then ask your parents to replace it. They don't have $60,000. The truth came out of her mouth before she could stop it. "You knew I was paying." Silence. In the background, I heard Vanessa say, "Give me the phone." Lily's voice became smaller, but not kinder. "Mom told me last week. And yesterday, you grabbed something your grandmother gave me, mocked it, and broke it. It was a joke." A joke is supposed to be funny to more than one person. Vanessa took the phone. "You vindictive, lonely woman," she said. "You are jealous because my daughter has a future." I wrote the words down on a legal pad. "Why did you tell Lily the bracelet came from a flea market?" "Because it practically did." "And why did you tell me Mom wanted Lily to have it?" Another pause. "You are not well," Vanessa said. That answer told me more than a confession would have. At 9 o'clock, I called Mr. Sloan's office. His assistant went quiet when I mentioned file 11B. "Can you come in at 11? She asked. Mr. Sloan's office occupied the second floor of a brick building near Grand Central. He greeted me personally and locked the conference room door behind us. He looked older than I remembered, but his eyes were clear. "Your mother hoped you would never need this," he said. He placed a blue folder on the table. Inside were bank statements, copies of checks, property records, and a signed letter from my mother. For the final 3 years of her life, Vanessa had been managing our mother's household expenses. During that time, more than $280,000 had disappeared from our mother's accounts. Some transfers went toward Lily's private music instructors and summer programs. Others paid Vanessa's mortgage, credit cards, and membership at a country club. I felt physically sick. Why wasn't this in the estate case? Mr. Sloan folded his hands. "Your mother discovered the transfers shortly before her final hospitalization. She did not want Vanessa prosecuted while Lily was still a minor. She changed her estate plan to account for the missing money, but Vanessa challenged the amendment before it could be properly witnessed. So Vanessa got away with it." "Not exactly." He removed a sealed document from the folder. My mother had created a private promissory agreement. Vanessa signed it after being confronted. She admitted taking $284,000 and agreed that any future family inheritance, trust distribution, or gift connected to our mother could be used to satisfy that debt. At the bottom was Vanessa's signature. There was also a condition. If Vanessa denied the debt, attempted to claim the bracelet, or misrepresented our mother's wishes, Mr. Sloan was authorized to release the documents to me and to the executor of a separate family trust. What separate trust? I asked. Mr. Sloan looked almost sad. Your Aunt Judith is the executor. My mind returned to the dinner table. Aunt Judith's tight expression. Her silence. She knows. She knows there is a protected file. She does not know the amount or the evidence. Mr. Sloan explained that my grandfather had created a trust decades earlier. It held a small commercial property outside Stamford. The building had recently been sold to a developer. After taxes and fees, our family's share was worth just over $900,000. Vanessa believed half of it would go to her. But if the debt provision was triggered, her distribution could be withheld. My sister had not risked $60,000. She had risked nearly $500,000. Can we trigger it? I asked. Mr. Sloan tapped my mother's hidden note. Her written claim that the bracelet was intended for Lily may qualify. But I would advise gathering clear evidence. I showed him Vanessa's text message. He read it twice. Keep everything, he said. That afternoon, I called Aunt Judith. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she began to cry. Your mother made me promise not to interfere unless the condition was triggered, she said. I hated that promise. Why didn't you warn me? Because your mother was ashamed. And because she still hoped Vanessa would change. That was my mother. Even after being robbed, she wanted to believe love could repair what fear had allowed. Aunt Judith told me the trust distribution meeting was scheduled for Friday. Vanessa had been planning a kitchen renovation with her expected money. For the next 4 days, my sister launched a campaign against me. She called relatives and said I was having an emotional breakdown. She claimed I had promised Lily the tuition as an unconditional gift. She posted a photograph of Lily holding her violin with a caption about adults who punish innocent children. People I had known for years sent me messages. Be the bigger person. Don't ruin a gifted girl's future. Family matters more than jewelry. Not one of them asked why Lily had broken the bracelet. Not one asked why her parents had accepted my money while mocking me behind my back. Then Lily posted a video. She sat in her bedroom with red eyes and explained that her unstable aunt had canceled her education because of a cheap bracelet from a flea market. Near the end, she held up the broken piece and said, "This is apparently worth more to her than I am." My blood turned cold. She had the missing section of the bracelet. I checked the velvet pouch on my desk. The clasp, chain, and loose emerald were there, but one small platinum link was missing. Lily had kept it. Why? I replayed the video. Vanessa entered the frame for less than a second and placed a hand on Lily's shoulder. Her eyes dropped toward the broken link. That was when I understood. Vanessa knew something had been hidden inside the bracelet. Maybe our mother had told her about the note during their confrontation. Maybe Vanessa had spent years trying to find it. That was why she had stared at my wrist. That was why she had encouraged Lily to grab it. The humiliation at dinner had not been spontaneous. It had been a search. I called Mr. Sloan. Vanessa was not trying to insult the bracelet, I said. She was trying to break it open. He was silent for several seconds. Then we should assume she knows about File 11B. That evening, Mark appeared at my apartment. I did not let him inside. He stood in the hallway looking exhausted. Vanessa said you found something in the bracelet. What did she tell you? Nothing clear. She's tearing the house apart looking for old papers. Did you know she took money from Mom? His face answered before his mouth did. I knew she borrowed some. $284,000. He leaned against the wall. Oh, God. She used part of it to pay your mortgage. She told me it was an early inheritance. I believed him. Not because Mark was innocent, but because he looked like a man discovering that the floor beneath his life had never been solid. Why are you here? I asked. He took an envelope from his coat. Inside were printed emails between Vanessa and Lily. One message from Vanessa read at dinner. Get Claire talking about Grandma. Take the bracelet and pull hard near the clasp. If anything falls out, keep it. She'll be too embarrassed to react. Lily replied, and you'll still make sure she pays Monday. Vanessa answered, of course. Claire always gives in. I looked up at Mark. Where did you get these? Lily left her email open on the family computer. Vanessa wants me to tell everyone you attacked Lily first. I won't do that. The betrayal hurt, but it also set me free. Lily had not made a childish mistake. She had negotiated her cruelty in advance. Will you attend the trust meeting on Friday? I asked. Mark closed his eyes. Yes, a Friday morning. We gathered in Mr. Sloan's conference room. Vanessa arrived wearing a white suit and carrying a leather folder. Lily came with her, violin-shaped pendant shining at her throat. Mark entered separately and sat near the door. Aunt Judith sat beside Mr. Sloan. Vanessa looked at me and smiled. Before we begin, she said, Claire has agreed to correct a terrible mistake. No, I said. I haven't. Her smile disappeared. Mr. Sloane turned on a recorder and explained that the meeting concerned the distribution of the Bennett family property trust. Vanessa interrupted. Half goes to me and half to Claire. We all know that. That would ordinarily be correct, he said. He opened file 11D. For the first time in my life, I watched my sister lose control of her face. Where did you get that? She whispered. Your mother's attorney kept it, I said. Exactly where she said he would. Vanessa turned toward me. There was nothing in that bracelet. The room went still. I had never told her I found anything inside it. She realized her mistake too late. Mr. Sloane placed her signed deed agreement on the table. He reviewed every transfer, every condition, and every consequence. Vanessa stood up. Mom forgave that debt. Do you have that in writing? He asked. She told me. Just as she supposedly told you the bracelet belonged to Lily. Vanessa pointed at me. This is her doing. She has always hated me. Aunt Judith finally spoke. No, Vanessa. Claire spent her life cleaning up after you. Lily looked from one adult to another. What does this have to do with my school? I slid the printed emails across the table. Everything. She read the first page. Her face drained of color. Vanessa turned on Mark. You went through her private messages. You asked our daughter to steal from her aunt, he said. It was a piece of paper. You did not know what it was? I said. You only knew Mom had hidden evidence somewhere in the bracelet. Vanessa's voice rose. That money should have been mine anyway. I was the one taking care of her. There it was. The confession, not remorse. Entitlement. Mr. Sloane calmly explained the result. Vanessa's share of the trust, $458,000, would be withheld. The original debt, adjusted according to the agreement, would be repaid to our mother's estate. The remainder would go into a charitable fund in our mother's name supporting elder abuse prevention. Vanessa sank into her chair. You can't do this to me? You did it to yourself? Aunt Judith said. Lily began to cry. What about Halcyon? I looked at her for a long moment. Your admission was earned by your talent. Your tuition was going to be a gift from me. Those are two different things. I said I was sorry. No. You said it was a joke. Fine. I'm sorry now. Because you understand what you did, or because it finally cost you something. She could not answer. Vanessa gripped her daughter's hand. Do not beg her. But Lily pulled away. You told me she would still pay? I was protecting your future. You used me? The argument exploded. Lily accused Vanessa of lying about the family money. Mark admitted they might have to sell the house. Vanessa blamed me, our mother Mark, the conservatory, and finally Lily herself. I listened until the room felt strangely quiet inside me. For years, I had believed peace meant keeping everyone comfortable. Real peace, I discovered, sometimes begins when the truth makes everyone uncomfortable. I stood to leave. Lily followed me into the hallway. Aunt Claire, please. Her voice no longer sounded entitled. It sounded 18. For one dangerous second, I wanted to rescue her again. Then I remembered the mail. Claire always gives in. What will I do? She asked. Apply for aid, take loans, work, defer for a year, attend another school. You have options. But Halcyon was my dream. Dreams do not make other people responsible for your character. She covered her face. I softened my voice, but not my decision. You are not losing your talent, Lily. You are losing the belief that talent excuses cruelty. I walked away. The consequences came quickly. Vanessa and Mark sold the Westport house 6 months later. Mark filed for divorce. Vanessa's country club membership disappeared, along with the kitchen renovation and the photographs of her perfect life. The estate recovered the money. Aunt Judith and I created the Eleanor Bennett Fund, named after my mother. Its first grants went to legal clinics helping older people recover assets taken by relatives. Lily did not attend Halcyon that fall. She enrolled at a state university with a strong music department and took a part-time job at a music store. For almost a year, we did not speak. Then, on the anniversary of my mother's death, a package arrived. Inside was the missing platinum link and a handwritten letter. Lily admitted everything. She wrote that she had known I was paying the tuition. She had helped her mother damage the bracelet because she believed I was weak and would forgive her. She did not ask for money. She did not ask me to change the past. She wrote, I thought being gifted made me special. Losing Halcyon taught me that being special is not the same as being good. I cried after reading that sentence. Not because I regretted canceling the payment. Because, at last, the consequence had taught what my generosity never could. I had the bracelet repaired by a jeweler who specialized in antique pieces. He replaced the clasp, but preserved the tiny compartment. The missing link Lily returned now sits beside the hidden note in a small frame on my desk. One reminds me of my mother's courage. The other reminds me of the price of waiting too long to use my own People still ask whether canceling the tuition was too harsh. I tell them the money was never a reward for Lily's talent. It was an act of love. And love without respect is not love returned. It is access. Lily and I are slowly rebuilding our relationship now. She pays her own tuition, performs in the university orchestra, and calls before she visits. Apologies did not erase what happened. They opened the door to something more honest. Vanessa has never apologized. That is her choice. My choice was to stop financing the people who mistook my kindness for weakness. The bracelet was repaired, but our family never returned to what it had been. That turned out to be the real gift. Because some things should not be restored exactly as they were. Sometimes the break is where the truth finally gets in.